Hey y'all, and welcome back to The Wannabe Author, the podcast that pulls back the curtain on the publishing world, traditional, self-publishing, and more. I'm your host, Taryn Christeen, an author navigating the turns and plot twists of getting books into readers' hands. Here we get real about the wins, the rejections, and the lessons learned along the way. Whether you're chasing an agent, going self-published, or just curious how it all works, you're in the right place. Let's get started. Hey, hi y'all. It's your favorite little wannabe author. My name is Taryn Christeen. I'm your host. And welcome to the finale episode of season 2. Better late than never, right? I know it's a few days late. Sorry about that, y'all. Thanks for being patient with me. If you've noticed, well, those of you watching, I look a little funny. So I just announced I'm pregnant, and I'm late on this episode because I just have been feeling like absolute crap and having a really hard time getting myself ready to be in front of a camera. And then I remembered I don't care what I look like. And so in the midst of my self-care, I decided that I would record this final episode of season 2. By the way, this is like my favorite skincare mask ever. I actually have it linked in my bio under my favorite skincare products. It's called the Hydrating Enzyme Mask. It's phenomenal. So good. Anyway, just a small plug. Okay. Yeah, this is the final episode of season 2. I had to cut it short because I am struggling with being pregnant, wanting to create, and so much of my life got turned upside down trying to figure out what the future holds. So I decided to give myself some room to breathe and to figure out what I want to do next. By cutting this season short, I hope to start back up beginning of next year. I've just loved this podcast so much, and I don't want it to end anytime soon. But yeah, I need a little bit of a break, and that's okay. Let's see. Where do we want to start? What do I need to catch y'all up on? We got quite a few things happening. Today is November 9th. I've got a hair tickling my nose. Sorry. Okay. Today is November 9th. In just, I think it's not this week, but next week, I am releasing my second book, which that's so fun because first season ended, with me getting ready to release my OG book, Dear Future Husband. And now we are ending off as I'm releasing my second book. I wish I had a physical copy here. I actually just ordered mine today, but it'll be here soon. So it's been super fun. The first season, we talked about the journey, and you guys got to see me from when I was out on submission with my debut to leaving my agent and then self-publishing my debut. So now, second season, I've got to focus on connection, work, getting to know other authors and agents and editors, and it's just been such a phenomenal season. I think this season was my favorite for sure. I learned so much, and I met so many extraordinary people. So, just love reminiscing over this. It's been fantastic. How I ended off last season was I put myself through the author interview questions that I put my guests through. So I'm going to go ahead and do that in reference to my second book coming out. And as you know, if you've been here, I always like to start off with asking my guests, what are you currently reading? I'm currently being traumatized by Dark Age, written by Pierce Brown. I actually don't think I have a physical copy. I'm listening to it, but it's the 5th book in the Red Rising series, and oh my gosh. As soon as I'm like sure the pain is going to subside just a little bit, it like gets so much worse. Yeah, I'm being traumatized. Like I love when books can pull visceral reactions out of me, like make me laugh, make me cry, just stare at a wall blankly. This one has made me scream. I haven't done that yet. This one has made me scream. In pure terror and horror. Yeah, the people who've read Dark Age by Pierce Brown, they understand that. Wowza. Anyway, yeah, I've been being traumatized by that. Now, this isn't a book, but I just have to talk about it because, oh my gosh. Well, it's based off a book. My favorite book, actually. I just watched the new Frankenstein adaptation on Netflix last night. I watched it again this morning with my husband. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. They did so well on it. So well. I'm a huge fan of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. I read it every year. It has been my favorite 4 years. I love it. I love it so much, and I feel like they did it so, so well. Oh, absolutely beautiful. If you haven't watched it yet, go watch it. It is, I think it's my favorite movie of 2025. It's sitting up there with Sinners. Like, oh, oh. I think Sinners might just top it because of the soundtrack. Music gets me. But yeah, so good. Anyway, again, not what I was currently reading, but it was so good. I just had to talk about it. Okay. Now, the first question is, what brought you to the point where you finally sat down and said, I'm going to write this book and I'm going to publish it? Dear Me, which is the book I'm getting ready to publish November 18th. I was writing it while I was on submission with Dear Future Husband. And the thing is, with traditional publishing, like, it wasn't something guaranteed that it would ever see the light of day. So when I was writing Dear Me, it was purely out of just, it was for me, like, to show myself I could write another book. I could be flexible with the characters because it's a interconnected standalone with Dear Future Husband, and not only is it that, it kind of like coexists in the exact same timeline, and it was good to show myself that I could do it. Um, like writing a book, you get done and you go to write your next book, and you're sitting there like, I do I even know how to write a book? And so actually having written one and having it go as far as it did, sitting there staring at like a second book idea, it was daunting and I wasn't so sure I could do it. But I did it and I fell in love with it and had the best time with it. Dear Me is something that I think it really clicked into place, that I was like, yeah, I want to keep writing. I want, and not just like I've always been writing, but I wanted to keep writing stories and I wanted to keep sharing stories. And I'm just so excited about sharing Dear Me because it's gotten such a great response, but I'll get more into that. But that's when I started writing Dear Me, and yeah, I think when I decided to publish it, I decided when I decided to self-publish the first book, I knew I would be publishing Dear Me because I just fell so deeply in love with it. I was like, well, now I can do it. I can get it out there. There's no one to stop me. So I'm going to do it. And I've been so happy to do it because I love it. I love Penny and Danny so much. Okay. Do you have any writing routines? No, still, I don't have a writing routine. With working full time, the podcast, and everything, I just write when I have the capacity to. And I hope it opens up more in the future. But right now it's just whenever I can spare a second brain cell. With but when I was writing Dear Me, it was actually exactly a year ago. I did the write a novel in a month thing. And that's when I wrote my first draft of Dear Me. And I remember just flowing. Like I was like, yes. Like this book is just working. And I was like, every break, every lunch break, as soon as I got off work, I was writing. And I cranked that bad boy out. The first draft and the final draft are very, very different from each other. But that's okay. That's how it's supposed to be, especially in my writing ways. Um but it's funny when I've created different things, and I usually take about a year. I write a first draft, I let it sit for a while, And then by the time I get to it, I'm very much like, okay, this is what needs to happen. And it just flows after that. So that's kind of the routine I went through with this book. Um, Publishing. Tell the listeners about your journey to publication. What was the most surprising aspect about the journey? You pretty much know my story. Self-published. Decided I would do that May of this year, and here we are publishing my second book just before the year is out. Honestly, I pat myself on the back. That's pretty good. It's most surprising aspect. It's not at all where I anticipated myself being. When I saw myself last year, like when I was in 2024 November, I did not see myself here 2020 in 2025. I definitely thought I'd be in a very, very different position, but honestly, I'm incredibly thankful I'm not. I'm very happy with where I'm at and to see the progress that I've made on my own. Anyway, what do you wish someone had told you when you were a wannabe author? I am still a wannabe author, and that's okay. Um, as I've said before on the podcast, like being a wannabe author, claiming that title or whatever, it's more just I'm constantly learning. I have no idea what I'm doing, and I'll forever be a wannabe author. I don't care where my books go. I don't care how many people read them. I will forever be a wannabe author because I just forever want to keep learning and falling in love with this industry. But something I wish someone would tell me or what or something I wish somebody had told me or could tell me now. I have no idea. Um I didn't think about these questions before I started asking myself, obviously. I would say you know what somebody needs to tell me right now, and I've heard it over and over again, but I need to be told, and I need it reiterated to me. Two things, actually. Write for yourself. I'm very while I love storytelling and just falling in love with storylines, characters, and creating these worlds, I do find myself falling in this pit hole of what will sell, what is being picked up right now, focusing a lot on the trends and stuff. And it is kind of derailed that creative process. Like I have a book right now. I've been thinking about it for so long, but I'm so pressed to make sure I do it right so that it will see the light of day that I've kind of killed the creative process in writing it because I'm so focused on what will sell and what won't. What won't. I don't think that worked, but whatever. You get what I'm saying. And so I've had to keep telling myself that I fall back into this like thought process where I'm like, okay, but is this selling? Is this falling out of tune? What are readers wanting and stuff? And which I think is very important to keep in mind. It is. We've learned that we've heard that from other authors on here. It is important. And other publishing professionals I've heard on so many other platforms. But I fear there is a limit, and I've heard this from other authors. There is a limit, and you have to write what you want to write because trends do come and go. So write what you want to write, and then maybe it'll figure its way out later. I just keep forgetting. So that's one. And then I found this quote that I've had to like really think about. It's made me really think about it. But it says just because it's taking time doesn't mean it's not happening. And I need to keep telling myself that because I think I've found myself, especially with so many changes coming up in my life, I've found myself like, I'm not at all where I wanted to be. Does that mean, and now so many things are going to be like stealing my attention. So many things are going to be needing me. Um, and I have other responsibilities. Like, does this mean I I I lost the chance? Like, I don't have the capacity to achieve what I wanted to. And I've had to really come to terms with slowing down and just being like living in the moment and enjoying and turning the writing and everything back into something that brings me joy instead of this anxiety that it'll never happen, or beating myself up that just because the goals I had aren't here or achieved yet doesn't mean I'll never get there, or it doesn't mean that they can't change. So, yeah, those are a couple things. Sorry. I went for a while there. Have you ever thought about giving up, and if so, what kept you going? I love that every time I have asked this, we get a different answer. There's been people who've been like, "Oh, I've never thought about giving up," which I think is so valid. Like, you never think about giving up writing. But then there's others who kind of see the vision in it and they say, "Oh, every day. Every day." You'll never give up writing, but there is a point where you're like, "Do I give up sharing this part of me with the world?" And I think I agree a lot with those answers. I'll never give up writing, but there are times where I'm like, do I just fall off the face of the earth? I'm not using my real name so people can't find me after that. Anyway, yeah, it's hard, but it's good. It's a good hard. And I want it to be hard. I don't want it to be easy. Sometimes. Actually, to take that back, sometimes I really want it to be easy. It's been hard for a while now. But yeah, I think about giving up every day. Um, what is one conversation or exchange in your life during your journey or to publication that has stuck with you? I have loved asking this question. I really wanted to focus on conversation, connection, and networking this season, and the guests that I had showed up to answer this question. I thoroughly enjoyed listening to every answer because it was on such a wide scope of whether or not it pertained to books or just life in general. This is a hard one because I didn't think about what I. Okay, this is a little interesting one, but I just thought about this and it actually had a huge impact on how I write. Um when I first so my original book, Dear Future Husband, my first book. When I originally wrote it, and because if you don't know, I self-published it. I kind of just chucked it out there. No editing. Nobody read through it before I published it. I just put it out there for friends and family. I was like, look, I wrote a book. Um, and I was proud of myself for finishing something, so whatever. It was poorly written, but it also had like very opposing directions. There are some very heavy themes in the book. And now when I characterize it or like explain the book, it's like it's a book of grief. It's a book of trauma and recovering and choosing to live after a lifetime of hurt. Um but when I originally self-published it and talked about it with people, it was rom-com, early 2000s vibes. Um what else? Like cutesy, fluffy, lottie dotty dotty. Which it was a little less serious for sure in the OG. Um but when I got picked up by my agent and they read my book and they signed to work with me, I remember the agent said, "Do you really think this is a rom-com? Because it's not." And I remember sitting there like, I don't know, honestly. Like, I'm so new to this. I don't know. And they said, like, this is not a rom com. You have deep emotions here. You have this, you have that, you need to run with it. You need to not be scared of it. And you need to go full speed with this theme. And I remember that just like clicked something inside of me. even though that relationship didn't work out very well, they didn't end up like working with me in the best way I felt would lead to success. I will forever be thankful for that conversation. Um because I felt like it just gave me permission because I was scared. I'd never done any of this. I didn't want to really talk about serious things, but you could tell my heart wanted to. And so I like watered it down with this idea of a fluffy romance and cutesy rom-commy vibes. Um but when they said like no, you have something unique about your book and it's that deep emotions, this heartfelt thing, the journal and all that. You need to run with it. And I feel like that gave me a lot of access into where my creative heart actually lies. I don't think I'll ever write a rom-com. And never say never. I might. But I feel like a lot of my creative juices and like spark lie in the underlining traumas and hardships and mental health aspects of real life. And when I was finally just like given that okay, do it, I've really come to understand me and my craft, and that has helped immensely. What is your favorite trope to read or write in? Oh shit. Found family. Found family. I don't think I do enemies to lovers very No, okay, hold up. I don't like doing enemies to lovers. I think I could do it good. I don't like doing it. Cuz I get all in my head about it being toxic. I don't like unless it's a fantasy. Even then it can get a little weird. I don't like toxic enemies to lovers. There just has to I don't know. Mm. I like a good solid loathe to lovers, if that makes sense. For like a romance. And I like enemies to lovers and fantasy and stuff. But I think found family is my shindig. And what else? I love, yeah, I think it's just this lines up with found family, but it's like the unlikely friends who just don't click at first and then they mean everything to each other later on. Love that. Love that. Yeah, found family, that's a big one. Okay, what is next for you? Any teasers on future projects? What's next for me is that my book Dear Me comes out November 18th, which is so exciting. Crazy. I have another book coming out. You can go check it out on Goodreads. Early readers are leaving reviews and they are loving it. Um, I don't know what's next for me, honestly. Kind of leaving it open. Um, I have. I want to finish a first draft. I actually did finish a first draft this year. I do have one book that's just, I think is going to get shelved. Still trying to decide. It's just kind of hanging out. There is an Easter egg for that book in Dear Me. And only people I've talked about my book to caught it. So that was fun. There's Easter eggs in my books for every book I plan to write or have written. So you can always watch out for that. Um but I don't know. Yeah, I'm leaving things open to I don't know, creativity. I want to give myself space to create again. I need to write a new draft. I want to try something new. I have a book I mentioned it earlier. I've been just staring at it and I want to make it work so badly and I think I've clicked it into place. I've gotten out of that mindset of writing to what the market wants. And I think it could be something great. But we'll see. Either way, I just need to write it cuz I want to so badly. But you can keep your eyes open for that. I will continue to post stuff on my Substack for the wannabe author. So if you're curious about more things regarding my writing, me, you can always go check that out. And I will keep y'all updated on the podcast. I definitely am not letting it die. We will see what time will tell. Time will tell when we start things back up and what direction I plan to take it. But thank you all for listening. Seriously, this is my favorite thing in the world has been to just chat with authors and learn. Um and I wouldn't be able to do it unless people were listening. So, thanks y'all. You're the best. And I will see y'all when I see ya. You can definitely find vlogs. You'll find vlogs on YouTube of me writing. I plan to do those. So, hopefully I feel better and I can start creating more things like that. But anyway, yeah. Okay. Love y'all. See you around.